Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 23 of the Big at the Back podcast. I'm Tom. I'm joined once again by Matt, and Matt and I have just realised on Episode 22 we didn't sing any Taylor Swift. So, Matt, you're quite a few beers deep. Let's hear your rendition.
I can't in good faith subject the three people that are going to be listening to this to me singing any Taylor Swift. So maybe next year we'll see. We'll probably forget by then as well, but you never know.
Maybe when season 4 rolls around or season 5, we may remember it. You never know at this point.
I mean, Taylor Swift has never been more relevant than she is right now. With the whole Travis Kelce Super Bowl thing happening, which is how I spent my Sunday night at a friend's house watching the Super Bowl, because I'm quite big into my American football, thinking that it was going to be, a relatively calm night. And it was calm, but we went to overtime and I didn't get to bed until about 4:30. So, yeah, it was a struggle waking up on Monday morning. I had the day off work, but I still had to get up and look after the dog.
Oh, well, we also got the text yesterday, didn't we? Oh, do you want to do WrestleMania this year? And it's like, oh God,
which I mean, let's be honest, we're absolute fiends, so we're going to do it, but we're going to absolutely regret. We're getting too old for this shit, Tom.
We're getting way too old for this shit, but I feel like we keep saying there's going to be a last hurrah. Maybe we will at one point have a last hurrah. Maybe
yeah, they do say the most, like, not that you can compare it to this, but when you're in a job, the most important days at your job are the first day and the last day. Maybe one day we'll have our last day of doing WrestleMania, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon, is it?
Probably not. Well, look, before WrestleMania, we have got a very exciting double game week coming up for game week 25 on FPL. Now, it's Tuesday evening as we're recording. Manchester City have just kicked off, but big news in the Manchester City Champions League game against Copenhagen away. Haaland and KDB starts and Alvarez is benched. So Man City, one of the teams with a double game week in 25, that's going to be the first thing we speak about. Before we jump into the preview of next week, though, talk to me about how you did in game week 24. How did you get on last game week?
I, for once, can come back reporting good news with a green arrow. So my final tally for the week was 86 points minus 4, so 82, which is 20 above the average. So I will very happily take that. The highlights were, I did take, like I say, the minus 4. So the transfers that came in basically paid off. Foden with only 3 points, but he did come in for Bowen, so that was an upgrade. The main one for me was Reguilon coming in. We spoke about this. We didn't speak it on the pod last week, but we did speak about it on WhatsApp. Reguilon came in for me with 12 points for Konsa, who obviously was injured. And by all accounts, the injury, the things that I'm reading on Twitter, it might actually be worse than they're letting on. He could be out for the rest of the season, even potentially. So, yeah, him coming in for 12 points was a big gain for me. But other than that, I mean, Gabriel with the 12 points. Another big scorer. The only downside for me in recent weeks has been I took Saka out for Jota about 3 weeks ago, and he's returned in every game since. I mean, the thing is, Jota has also returned in every game since, but Saka has massively outperformed Jota, especially with his 15 points at the weekend just gone. So it could have been better, but like I say, I'll take the green arrows all day long. How's your week been?
I mean, the week was looking pretty good until the Arsenal game, and I've got Saka, so I benefited from that, and he wasn't at over 100% expected ownership for that first time in a long time. He was only at 80%, so every point Saka got gains from. What killed me is the Arsenal defenders. Gabriel and Saliba are so widely owned, and I have neither of them, and they absolutely decimated my rank. And it got clawed back a little bit by my boy, Cole Palmer.
Finally.
But yeah, it got clawed back a little bit. But yeah, it was just absolutely decimated. So I ended on 74 points. The moves I did make didn't really pay off, but I didn't really make them just for this week. So I had 3 transfers. So I brought in Virgil van Dijk, Van Heck, and Cole Palmer, obviously, for Raheem Sterling. So Palmer obviously paying off for Sterling and basically covering it. Van Dijk with 2 points, Van Heck with 1 point, but Van Heck is there to sit in the bench, so I can afford Van Dijk for this upcoming double. So not too sad, ending on 74 points. Tony returning again, by the way. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Nice to see Haaland back in the goals right before game week 25, because we are going to be speaking chip strategy and transfer strategy in a great deal of detail. Most people, I expect Haaland to be about 250, 260% expected ownership this week, because he's going to have the triple captain by so many people. So go on, let's dive into Manchester City. The double game week coming up, plus they play in game week 26. Where's your head at for their assets?
Well, as you are, I'm pretty sure you are. I'm tripled up on City at the moment. So, as you say, that Haaland triple captainship is going to be very widely used this week. And if his effective ownership is anything below about 220%, I will be shocked. So for me, it's Haaland as triple captain, it's De Bruyne, and it's Foden. Obviously, a bit late on the Foden train after he grabbed the hat trick last week, but with the 2 games to come, you can only help but feel he's going to play a significant part in at least one of them, if not both, given his recent form. And De Bruyne having been benched at the weekend, I know he's obviously playing tonight, as you said, in the Champions League, but with 2 games, both at home, both against teams with relatively leaky defences overall this season. I know Brentford have been a bit better lately. You'd imagine that those 3 are going to be sort of racking up the points. I know in the joint team, for example, we have Kyle Walker, who, ever since we brought him in, has basically been benched. But there's also an argument to be had there. I know City finally kept a clean sheet at the weekend. You wouldn't necessarily bet against them keeping 1 clean sheet out of the 2 games.
Okay, I agreed. I actually think as well, we spoke about it just before we started recording, but I am only doubled up on City. I am strongly looking at a move in for Julian Alvarez on the basis of he is actually, you can talk about rotation and Pep Roulette all the time, but in the Premier League this season, he started every single game available. And I think he is Pep's favourite player. Now, will he be starting alone up front? No, of course not. He'll be behind Haaland. But for a double game week like this, and considering they play as well in game week 26, and that game is Bournemouth away, it's looking pretty enticing.
That is a very good argument to go for him. Like you say, he's played in every single game, regardless of whether Haaland has played or not. So I know De Bruyne's been injured for a lot of that time. So it's now that De Bruyne is coming back and he's played a lot more. Obviously, he started at the weekend and De Bruyne didn't. Do they both fit into that starting 11 together? There's that argument to be made. But he could easily play alongside De Bruyne. Maybe Grealish gets dropped, maybe Foden gets dropped, maybe Doku gets dropped. Like this, we're back in this territory, Tom. It's that time of year. Put your chips down because it's Pep Roulette.
Well, I think if you ask Pep, his strongest starting 11 would include KDB, Foden, Alvarez, and Haaland. I think that's his ideal front 4. Where they all fit in, not sure, but Alvarez is so flexible and I think he can play anywhere across that line. Then you've got the likes of Doku and Grealish who can come in and do the job. But I think in the Premier League, given he's chasing the Liverpool at the top, he's going to want to take advantage of every game available. So I think Alvarez, I'm talking myself into an Alvarez move and moving Watkins up.
Yeah, and I mean, as someone who's purely not got a dog in this fight, you could easily see like how much would you like to see as a City fan, like a Doku coming on against a tired defence late on in a game as fresh legs, and he would absolutely rinse a defender. So yeah, there's an easy world where you can see that happening. It's a tough one. We've been here, we've done this, we've been stung by this before, but I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, I think I am as well. So Manchester City, if you were looking at them, I guess if you're looking at them, you're thinking double game week, both games at home. You can't really trust the defensive line because you don't know who's going to play week on week. There's so many assets. The only one that's kind of consistently starting is Nathan Ake, and let's be honest, who bloody knows if he's going to remain starting or not. So then you're thinking to yourself, well, if there is any City defensive asset that's going to start, it's going to be Ederson, right? No good goalkeepers this season. Are we being blind? Talk me out of looking at Ederson as an option.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can talk someone out of it. I just think you can argue that the attacking options are better. When you look at them defensively and you look at how few clean sheets they've kept this season, when you look at the amount of money they've spent on defenders, especially fullbacks over the last 4 or 5 years, you just can't really see a world where you're going to invest that money in the most expensive goalkeeper in FPL. So, because at the end of the day, he's only going to disappoint you. If you spend that money, you're expecting 2 clean sheets in a double game week. It's not going to happen.
I do think this is a case of the experienced fantasy football manager getting burned by the inexperienced fantasy football manager, because the inexperienced guy is just going to go, yeah, that makes sense. 2 home goals. They play Bournemouth in the next game. Let's just get Ederson because all the goalkeepers are rubbish and he's the one that has the most games and the best chance of clean sheets. And I think they're likely to keep at least 2 of the next 3 clean sheets. So, yeah, and as an experienced fantasy football manager, I know in my heart of hearts that you should never go near Manchester City defensively. But this could be where the novices really come and tear us to shreds.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I mean, I can only look at it from my logical mindset of the next 2 games. Yes, they're both at home, but they're Chelsea and Brentford. Chelsea, okay, aren't the best team, but they managed to churn out goals. Obviously, Cole Palmer has had 3 double-digit returns in the last 5 game weeks. And Kunku's back, and he's looking quite good. When he came off the bench last night, he looks so much better than Nicholas Jackson. Raheem Sterling can easily come back and haunt his old club. Those sorts of things happen all the time. The other team is Brentford in that double game week, who are looking a lot better. Tony's back, and he's trying to put himself in the transfer window. You can easily see a world where he picks up a return. So, and then the next game week's Bournemouth. I know it's away, so that's a little bit of a trickier game, but that's the one I could potentially see them keeping a clean sheet, but I would not be putting my house on it in any way, shape or form.
Fair enough. I mean, looking at Manchester City then, I think you need to be going into this game week with 2, maybe 3 of their players. The obvious one is Haaland. And I think let's save the chip strategy discussion for the end of the podcast. Then for me, I'm going in with KDB and possibly Alvarez. You're going in with Foden, KDB and Haaland?
Yeah, I mean, you need to be tripled up on City this week. How you want to distribute that around is up to you. But with them also having a game next week, that is the big differential for me. Obviously, you can talk about Liverpool's double game week, which we will do shortly. But the fact that they blank afterwards is a little bit of a deterrent in tripling up. But with City, they haven't got the blank, so you've got to triple up. And you've got to have Haaland, and I think you've got to have KDB. How you use that third slot is potentially a differential.
Yeah, fair enough. I wouldn't mind going 2, but 3 does seem more attractive. You mentioned there the other team with the tasty double is Liverpool. So Liverpool are playing Brentford away, then Luton at home. Now, Liverpool away in London on a 12:30 Saturday kickoff, historically not the greatest location and fixture and time for them. But you can't deny they are firing on all cylinders right now. And in the last game against Burnley, you had goals from Jota, Diaz, and Darwin Nunez. Now, I think with Liverpool, the 2 assets most people are looking at are Jota and Darwin. What's your take on the Liverpool double game week, taking into account their blank in game week 26? What's your perspective on it?
This is where it gets a bit trickier, isn't it? You've got to have at least 1 Liverpool, potentially 2. I don't think you can triple up just on the basis that you want to be tripled up on City. Then if you triple up on Liverpool, that leaves you with 3 people that are blanking the next week. So it's really hard to go with. I think Darwin's the one you can probably afford to let go unless you've already got him. I don't think it's worth bringing in because you've got Haaland that doubles and you've got Tony that doubles. So that leaves you 1 striker spot. Potentially Darwin's not the way to go. So I think...
I want to challenge you on that.
Go on then. I dare you.
Liverpool's double, Brentford away, Luton at home. Brentford's double, Liverpool at home, Man City away. Is Darwin Nunez in his double going to outscore Ivan Toney by 4 points or more? Because if he is, then you're as well off getting Darwin in and taking the 4-point hit to swap to Toney or Watkins next week.
I wouldn't necessarily think that he does, because Tony's two games, yes, they're two of the best teams in the league, but are they two of the best defences in the league? Like, realistically, Liverpool, I know, obviously, won 3-1 at the weekend, but you gave away some big chances against Burnley.
Agreed.
And David
Their goal was
Fofana could have
great.
easily scored two. Kelleher had a good game in Alisson's absence. He made a good couple of one-on-one saves, where potentially if there was a better striker, like Ivan Toney on the end of them, you could easily see him getting a goal. And the same can be said for City. We've just been saying they don't keep a lot of clean sheets. They are open at the back. And Toney is a man that's got a point to prove at the moment. He's coming back from his long suspension. He's looking for this move in the summer. It's going to happen. Where he ends up, who knows? But and you look at his record. They said, I think it was on Match of the Day I was watching at the weekend. His record in the Premier League is a goal every other game, which for someone that has played for Brentford is a fantastic record.
He also gets lots of assists there as well. He creates a lot of play. Yeah. I actually happen to agree with you. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it because I know a lot of people are using that logic to go Darwin over Toney. I also think Darwin is just.
It could be great, but it could be fucking awful.
Would it be the most fun move ever to triple captain Darwin this week?
No, because he is the man that has underperformed his XG by more than anyone in the Premier League this season.
I absolutely love him, though. I think the problem is, imagine triple captaining him and watching him just blaze over, hitting the post, hitting the other post, hitting the crossbar. It would be the most soul-crushing thing you would ever watch. I personally couldn't do it. However, he has got a game. There is a game week where he gets 25 points.
Yeah, there is, but I'm not ready to die of a heart attack at 31 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. There's going to be a game where he gets 25 points. Will this be this game, or is he going to get a red card in the first match? We don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know. He could easily get booked for diving and then booked for dissent within like 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah, just or like Diego Dallo did against Liverpool, get booked for dissent and booked for more dissent straight after.
Yeah, like you just don't know. I'm not willing to ride that train.
No, I'm agreeing. So I think Diogo Jota, great option for the double. If you want to be super different, great captaincy option as well. I've also got Virgil van Dijk in my team because I think there is at least one clean sheet in these games. I'm intending to move him out after this. So I guess the question mark for me remains, would it be fun if you haven't got Jota, you haven't got Darwin, and you want a Liverpool player, to look at getting Luis Diaz in for these games?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this as people that own Luis Diaz in our joint team. Worth mentioning now, seeing as we're on it, 77 points for the joint team this week,
Nice.
with no transfers used as well. So that was a good week for us. Saka, Diaz with 9 points. Haaland as captain, Trippier, Gabriel. So yeah, a good week for the joint team as well.
Did we forget to update it, and that's why we didn't make a transfer?
No, we said about it early last week. We said it's not worth making a transfer. Use the two going into the double. So we actually, for once, we were on top of it, and the joint team's actually well ahead of me in overall rank as well. The joint team is 580,000.
Come on, the joint team. Like, if I come ahead of you and the joint team, then and you lose to the joint team, then that's going to say a lot about you this season.
The way I see it is, I'm the one that's logged into the joint team, so it's my team. But yeah, Diaz, I think, is another one who's a great option. It's just a really tough balancing act this week because, in my opinion, you want two City midfielders. I know you're potentially talking about two City strikers. So if you're doing that, I think you can probably go with two Liverpool midfielders, and that's going to be Jota and Diaz. But it's a tough balancing act, like I say, because most people have got Palmer, but do you get rid of Palmer for where he's got City this week and then a blank, and then potentially bring him back in? Maybe not the worst idea in the world, but yeah, it really is tricky with you've got these two teams with great midfielders both doubling.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a world where Jota is a viable captain for these weeks? I mean, Jota is the anti-Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez is an XG underperformer. Jota is like the ultimate XG overperformer because he's such a great finisher. What would you think of a potential captaincy for Diogo Jota?
Any other game week, yes, but not this game week.
Fair enough. I still think
it's just too much of a punishment waiting to happen, isn't it? Because let's be honest, like we've said, Haaland's going to be the big one. He's going to be triple captained by the majority of people. If he goes off and scores 5 goals in the 2 games, which you can easily see a world where that happens, Jota isn't matching that.
Yeah, agreed. And it's a shame, but Haaland is the only option for the Arbands for me this week as well. A word on Luton, because they have a double this week. It's a really tough double. Man U at home, Liverpool away. Then they blank in game week 26. But then in game week 28, they double again. So Crystal Palace away and Bournemouth away. Now, quite a few people got on the Luton train last week. We avoided because we just thought that was a stupid idea. And I'm still in the camp that it's a stupid idea.
Yeah, I agree. I can easily see a world where I could potentially get on the bandwagon for the second double game week.
Yeah, but not before then.
But not before then. With a tough double, United and Liverpool, then a blank, then Villa.
Yeah.
It's just not worth making that transfer. But Crystal Palace and Bournemouth as a double, that's a little bit more enticing. I can easily see a world where I get someone in for that game week.
2 away games, though, and Luton do not play in game week 29 by the looks of it. They've got a 45% chance of actually getting a game in game week 29 based on Ben Crenn's latest spreadsheet.
Yeah, so that's the other thing worth considering. It's hard to jump on that bandwagon.
55%. So there's a better chance than not that they do get a game in 29, in which case that's when we look at bringing them in.
Yeah, but everything's 50-50, isn't it, Tommy? Either happens or it doesn't.
Well, not Manchester City getting a game. That's at 7%, Matt. So
50-50. They either get a game or they don't.
Good to take this good lesson on probability from Matthew Higgins 6 beers in.
But the lottery is 50-50. You win or you don't.
I'm going to come out and say this. If you'd have said to me at the very beginning of the season, what away ground is Declan Rice going to get his biggest ever FPL haul, I would have straight away said, going back to West Ham.
Yeah, can we not talk about this game? Do we have to?
We kind of have to because Arsenal have Burnley away this week and they are FPL relevant now. I've got Saka in. I'm not moving him out anywhere. What are you going to do?
Well, I haven't got Saka. As I said, I moved him out for Jota a few weeks ago, which they've both returned in every week since, but Saka has outscored Jota. Is there a genuine argument to be made for Declan Rice as a budget midfielder? Because he's now on set pieces as well. He's on half of their corners for those in-swinging corners, and he's on those free kicks as well. Is there a genuine argument? If you've got a budget midfielder,
no,
he could easily be a bench option.
No, because Cole Palmer and Garnacho are your budget midfielders. And I don't think Declan Rice is better value than either of them.
I agree, but like I say,
I think
he's had his form for the season now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's not going to have another game. It's the first time he's ever had more than 1 assist in a game. It's the first time he's had more than 2 FPL returns in a game. So it's highly unlikely that and they're running for the rest of the season. Although they've got a little bit of a good run coming up, that their back 10 games of the season is really difficult. They've got to go away to City. They've got to go away to United, I think, still. Maybe away to Spurs.
Yeah, away to Spurs, away to Man U. The last away to Villa, away to Brighton. That's
That is a tough running. So that's why I spoke to my friend. He was at the game. He's an Arsenal fan. He was at the game on Sunday, and I spoke to him afterwards. I was like, "Can you run City all the way?" And he said, "Probably not, just because our running is so difficult, and City do what they do at the end of the season, and they just put a run of games together, and they'll probably run away with it."
Yeah, I mean, if you look at City's upcoming fixtures, because you always expect City to win at home. That's just a given. If you look at City's away games for the rest of the season, Bournemouth, you'd back Man City to win that. Then it's Liverpool at Anfield. That's going to be a potential.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. Then it's Brighton away. Not easy, but you still back City to win that, the way Brighton have been playing. Then they have Aston Villa away. Oh, no, that's at home. Sorry, they have Crystal Palace away. You'd back City to absolutely stomp them. Tottenham away could be a tough game. That's another one where they could drop some points. Forest away, you'd back City. Fulham away, you'd back City. And then that's it. And Forest away, sorry, you'd back City. Apart from the visit to Anfield and the visit to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, both of which City could win, you'd back City to win every single game for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, the only other thing you've obviously got to take into account at this time of the season is European football and injuries, but you can't really read too much into that until they come up.
Every single player at City is fit right now.
Makes a nice change, doesn't it?
Infuriating. Liverpool are riddled with injuries, and Arsenal and City have fully fit squads to play with. It's a joke. So, right, Saka's going to get injured soon. Let's be honest. He's already been run into the ground.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, indeed. No, not before the Euros. Come on.
No, I'll take a hamstring injury that just sort of tempers him for the end of the season, but then by the time the Euros rolls around, he's fully fit again. I'll take that.
I'd much rather Saliba just get another long-term injury and just Arsenal fall apart, because then he's not going to play for France.
Yeah, we'll take that. I'll allow that one. I want to talk to you, Tom, about goalkeepers.
Why?
Because I'm in a situation at the moment where my two goalkeepers are Turner and Areola. And obviously Turner is no longer the first choice at Nottingham Forest. And Areola is playing for a West Ham side that look absolutely shit. Mm-hmm. And I say that as one of the more optimistic West Ham fans. So I'm thinking, out of those, it makes more sense for me with the minimal price difference between the two to drop Turner. Who do you think I should bring in?
How much have you got in the bank?
So if I take him out, I can afford, drum roll please, 5.5.
So any goalkeeper?
Not quite. I can't afford Alisson.
Okay.
But any other goalkeeper.
So you've obviously got 3 City, so Edison is off the table. I think there's a few places you need to be looking. If we're looking between now and the rest of the season, then I would be saying go for Bernd Leno. But I'm guessing
I'm looking up until game week 30-ish when I'm going to wildcard.
So in that case, Leno's fixtures are horrible. He's got Villa, Man U, Brighton, Wolves and Tottenham. That's 4 very tough games and 1 against Wolves, which is away. So I wouldn't be looking at Leno. Manchester United, if you look at their next 5 fixtures, yes, they've got City in there in 27, but outside of City, they've got Luton, Fulham, Everton and Sheffield United. And I think a Manchester United goalkeeper going for Onana, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's Man U. They will let you down somehow, but I do think that's probably the place to go, looking at the upcoming fixtures and looking at the form right now.
It's mad, isn't it? Because I'm looking at these goalkeepers, and like you are as well at the same time, and he's the joint second top scoring goalkeeper in FPL, only 3 points behind Pickford, who's somehow top, despite the fact that I had him early in the season and he basically got 0 points for the first 10 weeks of the season. And then obviously, with Alisson, I can't afford. And Onana's got the highest save percentage of any goalkeeper, the joint highest save percentage of any goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. He's got the joint most clean sheets in the Premier League this season, and he's got the highest XG saved of any goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. He's a Banter goalkeeper.
That's mainly from just the Liverpool game.
yeah, you're not wrong. But stats speak for themselves.
I want to throw another name out there for you. Martinez for Aston Villa.
Yeah, again, another one that's got a few good fixtures coming up.
Up to game week 29, it's Fulham, Forest, Luton, Tottenham, and West Ham. Even if he doesn't keep clean sheets in the Tottenham and Fulham games, he's going to get a load of saves.
The problem with Martinez for me is, one, I think he's a piece of shit, and two, he's going to get at least 2 yellow cards in that run.
I love him. Like, we're chalk and cheese here. I think he's brilliant. I think it's Martinez or Onana if you've got a limited budget and you're looking at goalkeepers until, say, game week 30.
Yeah, I think the reason I'm leaning more towards Onana is, one, slightly better fixtures, and two, he's like 0.4 mil cheaper.
Oh, yeah, so you go Onana then, because that money might be useful in the bank, especially when planning for the upcoming doubles. Another team that are doubling is Brentford. Now, I've had Ivan Toney for ages, and he's returned like pretty much every week since I've had him. The other player that you brought in quite smartly, and I've already brought in, is Reguilón. So I've got 2 Brentford players for a double of Liverpool and Manchester City. Now, the reason I'm okay with that is because they play in game week 26 and they also play in game week 29. So I am fully prepared to take the hits now so I don't have to later, or to make the transfers now so I don't have to later. And it makes sense to do it before a double game week. So Reguilón on corners, playing really well going forward. Talk to me about what you saw last week and why everyone should be going for him, as well as Toney. Make the case.
Yeah, so obviously I brought him in this week. The week prior, when he first came into the starting 11, it was City at home, and he actually had quite a decent game. Bearing in mind, he'd been recalled from loan at Man United, so he could then be sent back out on loan to Brentford. He was getting forward, and like you say, he was on set pieces, and he's now got Ivan Toney back in the side. They've got big lumps that they get in the middle. They are good from attacking set pieces, so I think it was just, and like you say, doubles, and then doesn't have a blank in 29 as well. I just felt like it was a no-brainer. To be paid off with a 12 point of the first week you get someone in, it's a nice change from my usual transfers that sort of bite me in the arse straight away. But I think he's a fantastic transfer in, with Toney being back as well. I just think that he's almost not a must-have, but I think he's a very, very enticing transfer to bring in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've brought him in. I've taken the early move to bring him in because I think the price has already increased, actually. I care about price increases right until my second wildcard. After that, price doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm quite happy to have him over this run of games. And he's so cheap as well. Like, for the games you don't want him playing, like Arsenal in 28, there's no way he's going to be in my starting 11 for that.
I mean, depending on how things go between now and then, there's easily a world where he could be in your starting 11 by then. Yeah, like I say, especially on set pieces, getting forward, going well. I guess it just kind of depends what your other defensive assets look like at that point.
Mm-hmm. We've spoken about them briefly. Man U, are we sleeping on them? 2 players I want to really, really highlight because I'm going to be looking at them from next week onwards. Rasmus Højlund, 5 games in his last 5 goals in his last 5 games, sorry. And the other one who you're not going to like, but I'm really strongly considering, is Marcus Rashford. If you've watched Man U, which I have, starting to make those attacking runs again. And when he cuts in from the left, he's a very, very effective forward. I feel like, and this is me saying it early, I feel like Rashford's about to hit some form again.
Counterpoint to the Rashford argument. When they were 1-1, they took Marcus Rashford off and brought on Scott McTominay, who provided more of a goal threat than Marcus Rashford. That's the counterpoint to that. I don't necessarily hate it, but I think if you're going to go for a United midfielder, you might as well go Garnacho.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch the next game because I'm not going to obviously move him this week. But I don't know. There's something about Marcus that does tempt me. I just think he's probably a more reliable goal scorer than Garnacho is.
Yeah, possibly. I think the problem is It's the price is the big difference. Garnacho stayed on the pitch and Rashford didn't. Højlund, I'm much more tempted by it, but as we've said in the last couple of weeks, there's an abundance of striker options at the moment, which we haven't had in recent years. So if this was this time last year, everyone would have probably been moving to bring Højlund in right now.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how they develop, because we've both been we don't want to speak about Man U for ages. They started to tick it up again, and Erik ten Hag has taken this half-season audition very seriously. I still don't think he's going to be in the job come next season, but, he's still taking the audition seriously.
I can easily see a world where he is. I mean, you look at their next 5 fixtures. City away is the one outlier, but they've got in that time Luton, Fulham, Everton, and Sheffield United, 3 of which are at home. So that's a very nice run of fixtures.
Yeah, for sure. Spurs. Now, I've still got Richarlison. They blank in 26. I've also still got Udogie, but the reason I'm going to be keeping both of them is because they play in game week 29, and that game is going to be against Fulham away. So for me, that's a Richarlison captaincy potentially. However, Son is back.
Yeah, came on off the bench at the weekend, obviously. Not necessarily the worst. How have Man City not scored there? Not necessarily the worst option in the world in that game week, because obviously that's when Liverpool play City. So that's a potential. I don't know who else you really look at in that game week. It does seem like a more tempting option.
No, Liverpool play City in 28. I'm talking 29 when everyone.
Sorry, 29. Yeah, well, in that case, you're looking at potentially. You've got Tony plays Burnley.
Yeah, you've got Aston Villa, Watkins against West Ham.
How dare you? City play Brighton. Like, is there necessarily a world where you don't want to be captaining Haaland? Obviously, there's a fair few weeks between now and then. Can I offer you a Sergio Reguilón captaincy?
You can't. No. There's a line and you've just crossed it. So we are starting to get into silly season.
Well, what about Trippier captaincy against Crystal Palace? I know you haven't got him.
I quite like that, actually. Like, Palace is incredible how bad they are right now. How has Roy Hodgson not got sacked yet? I don't understand it.
I think Palace are very much a team waiting for the end of the season, and just hoping that things don't get so bad that they're in a relegation scrap by them.
I think it's fine. Nottingham Forest and Everton are getting docked another 10 points each, so I think they're going to be the ones that pay the price.
Yeah, I guess we'll see there.
Go Luton. Right, okay. Wrapping up then, I guess to touch on what are we doing on our joint team this week? So we've got 2 transfers. What's the team looking like? Why don't you share your screen and show what we've got?
Oh, hello.
Put you on the spot a bit there, haven't I?
Yeah.
But 2 transfers going into this week. I think there's a lot of potential options. We've already got 3 Manchester City in Walker, KDB, and Haaland, so we don't touch them. Luis Diaz, we don't touch. And I think, to be honest, having 1 Liverpool is probably fine. Here's the challenge. The team looks really good.
Do we change a keeper?
I think we change the keeper and change Watkins, Do you know what I'm thinking? How much have we got in the bank?
Not much. 0.1 in the bank.
Okay. So can we go Watkins to Darwin?
We can.
And hold my beer here. Can we go Turner to 4.8? Surely there's good keepers at 4.8. We just want a good keeper. Or we could go Areola to we can go Onana. Perfect. Turner to Onana. Amazing. And then we captain Darwin.
We don't.
We've got a triple captain Haaland. Let's be honest with ourselves. We triple captain Haaland. So it looks like our team is set. So triple captain is played. So why don't you reel off our team?
So we will have Onana in goal, back 3 of Walker, Gabriel, and Trippier. Rashan, KDB, Saka, Diaz, and Gordon across the middle, and then Darwin, Haaland up front with Haaland with the triple captaincy.
Put the vice on Darwin. It's symbolic.
just in case Haaland breaks his leg in training or tonight.
Perfect.
So, I mean, I'll move Archer up there. Those
Do
don't
we
really
want to be
matter.
playing a Stupinian against Sheffield United? Surely we do, right?
But over who?
Over Gordon, I would say.
Yeah, go on then, just in case. I mean, I think they're much of a muchness for this week, but
I think against Sheffield United.
1-0 Man City, Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne, so hopefully he comes off at like 50 minutes then. And same with Haaland. Hopefully he's off at 50.
Hopefully he scores before then, though, for my bet.
Oh, that too. Awesome. Well, look, all set for the double game week then. Good luck, everyone. We didn't talk about chip strategy. We should probably touch on that.
Yeah, we should. Obviously, I think for most people, it's going to be triple captaincy this week.
Still man the argument for me to not triple captain Haaland this week, because we all know why we should. Give me the reasoning why we shouldn't.
I mean, the only potential is a double game week at the end of the season. But I mean, maybe when City need the points, if there's a real tight run in at the end of the season, you can see a world where Haaland goes off. But it's 2 home games against teams with relatively poor defences. I just can't see a logical reason why you don't do it this week, unless you've already burnt it earlier in the season.
I think the only reason I can think of to not do it this week on Haaland is if you're thinking potentially game week 28 for Dominic Solanke having an even better double of Sheffield United at home and Luton at home. That it's going to be either this week on Haaland or in 28 for Solanke. But
we spoke about this. It's the best striker in not just the league but the world, with 2 home games, and he's just coming back, and he's in for even in the weekend when they didn't play great, they had 2 shots on target and he scored 2 goals.
Okay, I'm still manning the other side here. You've got one of the most informed strikers in the league against 2 of the worst defences in the league, both at home in game week 28. That's the other side of the equation. So I do think Haaland is the best option, but if you want to be a bit crazy, then there is a world where you can just captain Haaland this week, take the hits, because ownership will be around 250%. So if he scores a couple of goals, then you've got away with it. If he gets 3 or 4 goals, then you're in trouble. But it will mean that you have the triple captain's armband ready for game week 28 to hopefully make up the difference.
I would say yes. Normally, I'd agree with you. If it was a month ago, I'd have said yes. But Solanke scored 1 goal in his last 5 games, and strike while the iron's hot. There's no guarantee that Solanke's going to be fit in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, and looking at future double game weeks as well, game week 34, City will have a double, but it's looking like 2 away games in that double. One of them is Tottenham, by the way, so that's not going to be an easy double.
And we all know what's their record at the London Stadium is like. Not the London Stadium, sorry, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Well, you can also note that game week 37 is going to be a big double game week, but it's a big double game week for everyone. You've got about, I think, 16 out of the 20 Premier League teams are going to be doubling, including all of the top 10. So that is the week you want to be saving your bench boost chip for.
Yeah.
So for me, the way I'm thinking about my chips at the moment is to triple captain right now, game week 25 on Erling Haaland. Then I'm going to completely dead end my team into game week 29. So I'm going to have players from Brentford, players from Villa, players from maybe West Ham, we'll see. But essentially, I'm going to use my transfers to completely dead end my team and mean that it's rubbish. Game week 30, I wildcard with a view for the last 8 weeks, making a big impact. 34, when we've got that mini double, is going to be when I free hit to take advantage, get like 3 of the best City players at the time, 3 of the best whoever else is doubling. Then I'm already set up fully for the game week 37 when I bench boost. And then in game week 38, I win fantasy football.
I think that's the only way. I think that the way most people are looking at the trip strategy at this point in time. So I think that's the most sensible way to go, isn't it?
Well, I've seen a few different variations. There's a guy on Twitter called FPL Giambatra who was actually arguing that if you wildcarded in game week 28, there's a team you could put together where you have 10 players for game week 29 and you're set for game week 30 up till basically 37. So you use a free hit somewhere in there as well. And there's also, I saw Ben Krellen post earlier that he's looking to probably free hit in 29 and wildcard in 35. So, and he's one of the best FPL players in the world, like top 1K so far this season, consistently top 1K over the last 8 or 9 seasons or something ridiculous. He is incredible at this game. So there are other options available, but I think be careful of how you structure it because this is blank and double heavy. You want to take advantage of everything. So
yeah, I mean, what the fuck do we know at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways of doing it, but the most important thing is use your triple captain and Darwin Nunez.
Yes, exactly. And at the end of the day, have fun.
Fantasy football is not fun. Fantasy football is anything but fun. We will still play it anyway. Right, we are at time though, so you can find us on Twitter. We are at Big at the Back. Come and chat to us. We're idiots there as well.
Yep, I'm at Higgins92. Tom is at Tom Madden92. We haven't said this in a while, but if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It would greatly help us out.
Awesome. Have a great week, guys, and good luck, everyone. We'll speak to you next week.